Scene script. Picture this. It's 1859 and for a few days the sun has been acting up, spewing out a massive solar flare. Welcome to the world of the Carrington event, the most powerful geomagnetic storm on record, named after British astronomer Richard Carrington, who first observed the solar flare. This event was unlike anything we had ever seen. It all began with a series of intense sunspots, areas of the sun's surface that are cooler and less active. But then, on September 1st, Carrington noticed two patches of intense bright and white light erupting from these sunspots. This was a solar flare, a sudden explosion of energy caused by the tangling, crossing, or reorganizing of magnetic field lines near sunspots. But the flare was just the beginning. Following the flare, a cloud of charged particles erupted from the sun, a phenomenon known as a coronal mass ejection. This cloud sped towards Earth at a staggering speed, reaching us in just 17 hours, a journey that normally takes 3 to 4 days. And when it did, it wreaked havoc. The Earth's magnetic field, our protective shield against solar radiation, was overwhelmed. The effects were seen worldwide, but most notably in our skies. The aurora borealis, also known as the Northern Lights, usually a spectacle confined to the polar regions, was visible as far south as the Caribbean. These dazzling lights were so bright that people in the northeastern United States could read newspapers by their light at midnight. The storm's impact wasn't just limited to the skies. Telegraph systems across Europe and North America, the cutting-edge technology of the time, went haywire. Sparks leapt from telegraph equipment, shocking operators and setting papers ablaze. Even after being disconnected from their power sources, some telegraph lines could still transmit messages, powered solely by the aurora-induced electric currents. Imagine your world turned topsy-turvy because the sun decided to have a tantrum. That's what happened in 1859. Now, fast forward to 1989. The sun throws another tantrum, only this time, we're more reliant on technology. Picture it. The year is 1989. The age of neon, big hair, and burgeoning technology. Yet, on a seemingly ordinary day in March, the sun decides it's time to remind us of its fiery power. A colossal solar flare erupts, belching a cloud of charged particles towards our unsuspecting planet. This celestial event was not a surprise for astronomers who had their eyes glued to their telescopes. Yet, the sheer magnitude of this solar storm was unprecedented. Even by Carrington standards, this was not just a display of cosmic fireworks. It was a solar tempest that would test the mettle of our modern world. As the storm hit Earth, it set its sights on Quebec, Canada. The province's power grid, a technological marvel of the time, was left utterly defenseless against the onslaught of the solar storm. The charged particles from the sun interacted with Earth's magnetic field, inducing an electrical surge that proved too much for the grid to handle. In an instant, the lights went out. A province-wide blackout ensued, plunging millions of people into darkness. Elevators stalled, heating systems failed, and electronic devices sputtered out. The city that was once abuzz with life and light was now eerily silent, illuminated only by the ghostly dance of the northern lights in the sky. The chaos and disruptions were palpable. Yet amidst the darkness and confusion, people adapted. They found ways to cope, to survive, and to thrive. It was a testament to human resilience in the face of an unpredictable and unforgiving universe. The Quebec blackout of 1989 lasted a mere 9 hours, but those 9 hours were a stark reminder of our vulnerability to the whims of the sun. Our reliance on electricity, on technology, makes us susceptible to the effects of solar storms. We had become complacent, taking the power of the sun for granted. Once again, the sun had shown us who's boss. But it's not just about acknowledging the sun's dominance. It's about learning, adapting, and preparing for the next time it decides to remind us of its power. For as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, another solar storm will come. Are we ready? But wait, there's more. The sun had a middle child syndrome in 1921. Yes, you heard it right. The sun wasn't just content with the havoc it unleashed in 1859, it decided to throw another tantrum in 1921. And this one was a doozy. We call this the Great Solar Storm of 1921. It was a mighty tempest that roared from our solar parent, making its presence felt across the globe. Its intensity was such that it set the night sky ablaze with auroras. even in tropical regions where such a spectacle is a rare sight. But this celestial light show came with a hefty price tag. The storm's wrath was unleashed on the world's telecommunication lines. Telegraph systems, the internet of its day, were thrown into chaos. Messages got garbled, lines went dead, and in some cases, telegraph stations even caught fire. The world was reminded in no uncertain terms of the sun's power and unpredictability. But every cloud, or in this case, solar storm, has a silver lining. This event served as a wake-up call. Scientists who were just beginning to understand the sun's weather patterns had a front-row seat to one of the most intense solar storms in recorded history. The 1921 storm became a crucial reference point, a benchmark, if you will, for studying solar weather. In the aftermath, we were left with a better understanding of how solar storms can affect our earthly systems. This knowledge has been invaluable in preparing for and mitigating the effects of future solar storms. In a way, you could say that the sun, with its 1921 tantrum, gave us a century's worth of homework. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Well, it's simple. We live under the influence of a powerful star that, every once in a while, likes to remind us of its might. And when it does, it's up to us to be ready and learn from it. The sun gave us a century's worth of homework with that one, and it's our job to ace that assignment, for our sake and for the sake of our increasingly interconnected and technology-dependent world. 1972. The space age is in full swing, and the sun decides to play its part. As we delve into the heart of the 70s, our story takes us to a time when mankind was reaching for the stars. Literally, the moon landing of 1969 had set the tone, but it was in 1972 when the sun decided to join the party, albeit uninvited. The sun, often seen as a benevolent ball of light nurturing life on Earth, has a darker side. Every so often, it sends out solar flares, intense bursts of radiation. These solar flares can cause electromagnetic disruptions on Earth, but in space, they can be lethal. In August of 1972, just between the Apollo 16 and Apollo 17 missions, the sun let loose one of the most significant solar flares ever recorded. Had the timing been slightly different, astronauts could have been in space, directly in the path of this solar storm. Imagine this. You're an astronaut, floating in the cold, harsh void of space. Suddenly, your instruments start to go haywire. The radiation levels spike. You're in the middle of a solar storm with nowhere to hide. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The 1972 solar flare was a near miss for space missions, but it was a stark reminder of the risks involved in space travel. It was a reminder that space is not just about beautiful star-filled vistas. It's a hostile environment filled with unseen dangers. Fortunately, our astronauts were safe on the ground when the flare hit, but had they been on their way to the moon, the results could have been catastrophic. The intense radiation could have penetrated the spacecraft, damaging equipment and endangering the lives of the astronauts. This event served as a wake-up call. It underscored the need for better understanding and prediction of solar activity. It highlighted the importance of safeguarding our astronauts and our technology from the sun's unpredictable outbursts. That's 1972 for you, a year when our reach for the stars was met with a fiery reminder of the dangers lurking in the cosmos. The sun had reminded us that space travel isn't for the faint-hearted. Welcome to the 21st century. The sun hasn't mellowed with age. Indeed, our nearest star continues to throw its tantrums, and one of its most notable outbursts in recent memory occurred in 2003. This solar storm, often referred to as the Halloween storm, was a series of powerful solar flares that erupted over a 2-week period. It was one of the largest of its kind, sending a barrage of charged particles hurtling towards Earth at a staggering speed of 5 million miles per hour. When these particles arrived, they wreaked havoc on our electronic systems. Satellites malfunctioned, power grids faltered, and even airplanes had to change their routes to avoid the heightened radiation. The storm was a stark reminder of how vulnerable our electronic infrastructure is to the whims of the sun. The storm's effects weren't limited to Earth either. The Mars Odyssey, a spacecraft orbiting Mars at the time, experienced temporary communication blackouts due to the storm's intensity. This was a clear demonstration of how solar storms can pose significant risks to space missions, an area of human endeavor that has only grown in importance since then. In this digital age, the potential impact of a similar event is even more significant. Our lives are intertwined with electronic systems in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. From communication to transportation, from healthcare to finance, there is scarcely an aspect of our lives that wouldn't be affected by a major solar storm. The 2003 solar storm was a wake-up call, a reminder of how the sun's capricious nature can impact our increasingly digital world. It emphasized the need for us to understand and prepare for these celestial events better. As we continue to rely more and more on electronic systems, the stakes are only getting higher. We need to take the lessons of the past to heart and invest in measures that can protect us from future solar storms. The sun gave us a taste of what our new digital world could face. Are we ready for the next big solar storm?